We're back at it on another episode of Issacindigo podcast. I'm here with Doug, and we're going to be going over what he does in the door-to-door sales, door-to-door solar sales. So we're going to hear about like his backstory and how he got into this, this field, and see what it is that we can learn from it. So um, it's really nice having you here. I just wanted to say I apologize. We're going back and forth on certain days. I was like I was lit this weekend, so
Yeah,
so
don't worry about it. Today ended up being a perfect day for it.
yeah,
Right here at home. So, perfect day for it. And I'm super grateful to be here. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Isaac.
yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. So we'll go into like your story. Like how did you get into door to door solar?
So I got into door-to-door solar. First, I got into solar because I was actually watching Brad Lee's podcast, and I heard him talking about how sales was the highest paid profession on earth.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to get into sales, and I didn't know what I wanted to sell. I just knew I wanted to sell something.
Mm-hmm.
So, funny enough, I actually had just gotten a DUI at the time.
Oh wow.
So I was looking at sales jobs, and most everything was like I knew like if I wanted to sell cars, I needed to have a clean DMV record, and
Yeah.
I was looking at some different jobs like pest control and stuff, and everything was saying you needed a clean DMV record. And I came across this job opportunity, and it just said that you needed a reliable vehicle. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. I went in for the interview. I figured the DUI thing would have came up, and that they would have, I wasn't even going to get the job. But I went in there, and they were like, "What do you know about solar sales?" And I was like, "I didn't even know this was for selling solar. Like I just saw sell something. And I
Yeah.
came on in, and they started me out as a solar closer, which was
Oh
awesome. They
wow.
taught me how to close solar,
That's nice.
and that company's very good at what they do. They taught me, a lot of the stuff that I use today. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just driving all around Southern California, getting set up. I was blessed to be set up with 2, 3 appointments a day. And, right away, I kind of saw how that company was structured. They were just selling the deals for an installer. And, like, right away, I started to have the thought, like, why can't I just do this on my own?
Yeah.
Obviously, easier said than done. But after working with them for about a year, I started to do some digging and some research on my own. And I found out that I could be making a lot more money per deal if I went out and I knocked the doors on my own. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started knocking doors,
Mm-hmm.
and for a while I did it on the side of that other job where I was closing solar, and
Yeah.
I would go out on the weekends and knock doors and get deals on the side for some extra money.
Nice.
Um, and then for about the last year I've been just full time 1099 on my own, knocking doors. Just that's the way I get that's my bread and butter right there. That's how I get all my leads. I haven't really messed
Nice.
around with any internet leads or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just
What,
put them pounding the pavement and putting my knuckles to the door.
yeah. What was like the percentages of like not knocking doors, like just being a closer um versus knocking doors? Like what is the commission percentage difference of that? Is it just like you would be considered like a solo contractor, like you would get paid a separate amount, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, at that other company, I was a W-2 rep,
Oh, okay.
and I was making about $1,000 per deal. It's about a fifth of what you can make uh, if you're getting the leads yourself
Yourself.
and
Yeah.
self-generating the leads, knocking doors.
Hmm.
It does depend, the company that you're with and the type of deal you have. There are guys who knock doors and get leads, perhaps put a closer on the deal,
Yeah.
and maybe they don't make so much, but when you're able to do the whole deal start to finish on your own, that's when you're able to make a lot more money at it. So I started to do some math, and I was like, wow, I could be making a lot more money.
Hmm.
if I'm able to get the leads on my own and I go knock the doors, that's when I started to find out a little bit more easier said than done.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was definitely a learning curve to get out there on the doors and generate my own leads.
Nice. And what would you say is like the most craziest moments? Because I remember when I had to go like door to door and stuff for solar, they would like tell me, "Oh, you got to watch out for dogs or something like that." Like I got bit by a dog like a couple weeks ago. Like, you have any crazy moments?
Yeah, I have a few crazy stories. Like, luckily, I haven't been bit by any dogs, knock on wood, or
Yeah.
haven't had any guns pulled on me. Luckily, knock on
Oh
wood
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But like
Sucks.
when I was like 2 weeks into knocking doors, I had this guy just come outside and try to fight me, and he
Oh,
was just coming like straight swinging on me. It was
what the
crazy.
fuck?
I
That's
just knocked
crazy.
on his door, and the neighbors were telling me, um, we get a lot of solar guys coming through here. I don't know how
Yeah.
much luck you're gonna have in this neighborhood. But I was like, I'm gonna knock every door in the neighborhood, of course.
Yeah.
And I come
Mhm.
by to this guy's house, and he's on the phone, and he's like, oh, I'm on the phone. And I was like, don't worry, I'll just come back when I finish up with the rest of your neighbors. And he just like flipped. He's like, no, never come back, and tell all your coworkers never come back again. And I'm so
Wow.
sick and tired of all you solar guys every day. You never come back, blah, blah, blah. And then I
Yeah.
was like walking off, and I was at the sidewalk at this point. And he opens his door again. He's like, you want to have a little attitude with me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and he starts going like, F you, F you, F you.
Dang.
And I was like, F you, how about that? And he went back into his house, and I was like, I wonder what this guy's gonna
Trying to do.
get, because I was a lot bigger than him. He was like
Yeah.
this little bug-eyed guy, and I was like, so I was
Yeah.
just walking off, and I was like 3 doors down at this point, and he
Mhm.
comes out, and he just has his fist clenched, and he's like, you want to go blows right now? You want to go blows right now? I was like, no, I don't want to go blows right now. So yeah, we're gonna go blows right now. We're gonna go blows right now. I was like, no, I don't want to fight you, dude. I don't want to fight you. And he just keeps coming at me. Yeah, we're gonna go blows. And I was like, don't
Yeah.
get any closer to me. And he kept coming at me. So I was like, I'm gonna defend myself. And
Yeah.
I was trying to start my own little company, so I wasn't worried about getting fired. I'm
Yeah.
my own boss, and I
That's
like threw down my clipboard, and and I threw one at him, and he kind of flailed and threw his hands up, and his hand ended up where his face was, and I hit him in the hand, and he goes, "Assault! You hit me! There's cameras there! You're going to jail!" And I was like, "Call the
that's
cops,
funny.
dude! You're gonna look like an idiot." And he goes back inside, and he comes out again, and he's
Mm.
like, "You're F now." And he starts pulling something out of his pocket. I thought it was gonna be a gun, and he pulls out his phone. He's like, "You're going viral."
Oh my
And
god.
I was like, I pulled out my phone. I was like, "You're going viral. I got way more friends and followers than you." I was like, "I'm out here trying to make a living, and this guy
Yeah.
is assaulting me and
So
all
yeah.
that."
So like,
So
how are you able to stay motivated with like certain situations that happen like that? Because I know like for some people that are not as resilient, they would say like, all right, let's just go home today. Like that was enough, you know?
yeah, well, sometimes when it's a rough day like that, or you got something crazy that happens,
Mm,
best thing you could do is just take a little breather, take a
yeah,
break, relax somehow, maybe grab some lunch, and just kind of get your mind right before you get back on the doors.
yeah,
But the way I stay motivated is I just have a strong why. I think that's
mm,
very important for everybody is to find your why,
mm,
and just remember that throughout the day. So my why is my family, past, present, and future. I
yeah,
want to, my past family that's passed already. I want to make them
mm,
proud. I want them smiling, looking down from heaven. And my current
yeah.
family, I want to do some big things like pay off my mom's house, pay off my dad's house, put them in their dream cars, stuff like that. And
That's
for my
good.
future family, right now I'm a single guy, but I want to have a family one day, and I want to give them
Mm,
everything they could possibly ever dream of and ask for, and
mm,
including my time, energy, and attention. So that's my why, and
that's cool.
I just focus on that throughout the day.
Mm, yeah,
Also, the reason why you can get paid so much in sales and door to door sales is because there's so many no's, so I just each no that I get or something like that, I know that that's just part of it. I don't let that
Yeah.
discourage me. I made a post the other day. People ask, how much the car costs. It cost me, my payment cost me $1,000 no's a month is the way I put it. You got to go
You
out there and get your nose in.
so you
Um,
know your KPI and all that?
Not really. Like, I don't really track it like that. I was tracking for a
Okay.
little bit, but especially lately since I've been on the lives, like, I don't really track. So it just depends the market. Like out here in
Mhm.
California in Edison territory, I
Yeah.
was getting like one appointment for like every 60 doors.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
that wasn't even like one solid appointment. I was probably realistically getting like one appointment for every like 200-300 doors. It felt like
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
but in other markets like Portland, Oregon's a great market. That whole area we were knocking, I was able to get like 5 appointments for every 35 doors. So I was getting like an appointment
Mm.
every 7 doors.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. I was gonna say too, like, so you travel, like, have you traveled all, like more like up north or more like southern? Where's like the best places besides like Seattle, California? Is it more like communities that are a little closer, so you're not having to walk so far? Like you know how southern areas, the driveways and the neighbors are kind of a bit further, so it takes more time to to knock.
Yeah, well, when it comes to like demographic like that, if you're in places where the house is a little more spaced out, you're probably in a more high income area. And,
Oh, okay.
I know like when a lot of guys are new, including myself, you think to yourself, I want to go for those more high income areas. I want to have a high income clientele. We'll be getting
Yeah,
bigger systems because it's bigger houses, but those type of people are a lot harder to sell a lot of the time.
yeah,
Um,
because they can afford their bills and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, yeah,
so
they
they
can afford the bills. They're not so fast to just buy from anybody. They'll do their research and everything. They'll get their
yeah.
3 quotes, which I encourage everybody to do anyway. But
Hmm.
it could be a little bit harder to sell. I know a lot of people, because of that, they'll try to target lower income areas, but then you're gonna have problems there too because they're gonna need a main service panel upgrades. They're gonna need new roofs.
Hmm.
You're gonna run into a lot more renters.
Hmm.
So I knock it all though. I like to switch it up, so I'll just go to every demographic. Once I get tired of knocking a certain demographic, I'll just move on to a different neighborhood, kind of switch it
Hmm.
up throughout the day. You
Yeah.
know,
So I was gonna ask you too, like, since you were saying, you told me that you're kind of like doing your own thing. Are you building your own team as well, like right
yeah.
now?
So now I work with a company called Kumquat,
Kumquat.
and what I'm doing now is I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm building my own business within a business,
Yeah.
and we're a newer sales organization. We're still growing, which
Mm-hmm.
is really awesome. It's giving me the opportunity to build my own team,
Mm-hmm.
and I've traveled a lot over the last few months and sold in a lot of different markets, and
Yeah.
finally, just over the last couple months, I've decided to just buckle down here in Southern California
Mm-hmm.
and build out a team here. So that's what I'm in the process of right now is
Nice.
building a team in Southern California
Mm-hmm.
and also recruiting people throughout the country. And but my vision for out here in Southern California is to have the biggest sales organization in Southern California.
That's nice. Yeah, my cousin, he actually is. I think it's Solar City or something. I think it might be Solar City or something like that. Um, I'm not 100% sure. It's like Solar Power or Solar City, one of those.
Yeah,
And
Solar City. They were a back in the day company. They haven't existed for a while. Tesla ended
yeah,
up buying them out a long time ago.
yeah, that it. Yeah, that's the company. And
Yeah,
yeah, he built. He has a pretty big team. He built a like think a 30 or 40 person team right now, and they're doing like really good.
nice.
So I was really like curious of like how he was building it, but he's so busy. I kind of don't really. like we don't communicate like that all the time. It's just like rarely for special occasions and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, how do like people build these big teams for like door to door? What is like a strategy or like a marketing strategy to do so? Because I know that you're working a lot. You're doing like you'll do from like batches of times, right? Like, don't you do like from 7 to 10, and then like I don't know how your hours process is, but
Yeah, I try to be in the field all day, like 9 to 9, and that's something I've been
yeah,
more implementing recently. At least going like I've always wanted to try to be out there 9 to 9,
mm-hmm,
trying to get appointments like at 7 o'clock, and then that means I'm in the house probably until like 8:30 or maybe 9.
mm-hmm.
And I start my day at 9. But actually, I adopted this recently, talking to one of my friends who he's a Mormon guy, and I asked him, hey, I want to know about like what the mission was like, what was your day to day like, and he let me know they were on the doors 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So
Wow,
that's something that I've adopted more recently.
yeah,
And I'm not knocking doors all day. Preferably, a lot of people ask me like, how many doors are you knocking a day? My goal isn't to knock as many doors as I can. I want to be having conversations with homeowners. I want to be in the
yeah,
house. Um, I'm making a lot of recruiting calls throughout the day.
mm-hmm,
And then there's definitely like prime times to knock doors.
yeah,
I think 4 to 8's like the best time. I get a lot
mm-hmm,
of good hits between like 9 a.m. and 11 a.m.
mm-hmm,
But also, like, if you don't have appointments in the middle of the day, just staying on the doors, even when maybe you're not getting the most answers because a lot of people are at work or maybe they're out picking up the kids from school, just
yeah,
staying on the doors, that's where you're going to find a lot of wins, is just putting in that productive activity when most people won't.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So like, what would you say is like your recruiting process that you're like currently doing right now, or you've seen that works for for solar companies?
Yeah, so you were talking about like building a team. I don't know if I'm the best guy to ask for that, just because I
Mm-hmm,
haven't successfully built a big team yet.
mm-hmm,
I'm in the process of building a big team for the first time. I've
mm-hmm,
definitely worked with a number of different recruits over the last couple years.
mm-hmm.
But the turnaround time is not turnaround time, but the turnarounds heavy in solar. Like, guys will come and
Yeah,
go fast. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and hey, I want to sell solar, I want to do what you do, and they'll come out for a day or two, and then I'll never hear from them again. And it's
yeah,
why I have a saying that I say they see the flexing on Instagram, but they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears in this, and the
yeah,
years in this. But
for
my
sure.
my strategy right now has been the Instagram and the social media. That's why I've really been pushing on social media.
Mm-hmm,
I saw the way that I got recruited to Kumquat through social media. I was following the owner of Kumquat, Edmund, on social media for a good year, over a year, before I ended up like, hey, let me check out what they're doing. And I really liked what
yeah.
he was talking about. So that's why I'm getting on social media and trying to just provide value to the industry, and show people my work ethic. That way that they're attracted to come work with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting to get results there as well. So I've been getting more and more people contacting me through Instagram. So I think that's a big tool right there.
And how do
As
you like? How is the like? I know that a lot of people are not comfortable with the commission base. Like I've tried to reach out to people because I do not solar. I do software. I sell
mhm.
software. So I was actually interested in looking to have some people do door to door for pre foreclosures for wholesale real estate. So it's like a saying in real estate called reverse driving for dollars. I don't know if you're familiar with that,
Uh-uh.
where they knock doors and then they explain to them like, hey, I noticed that there's a notice of default on your home. Here's how much like money that you're in debt or whatever. Like kind of like explain to them that we can help them, so that
Mhm.
way we can like help them like refinancing their home and being able to like save it and stuff, or
Yeah.
potentially if they're interested in selling. So I was kind of like wondering how people are able to you know how do you influence people to like do that? I know that that is kind of like harder because you're having to spend your time and then potentially waste a lot of your time that you could be like knocking doors or like doing like productive stuff. So I was just really curious about that.
Yeah, well, I consider like recruiting calls and stuff like that productive activity as well. You
Yeah,
know, it's just part of it, and that's something that I've been getting a lot better at recently.
yeah,
Is not just knocking doors, but also making those recruiting calls, meeting up with people who are interested in the opportunity.
yeah,
So it definitely you know you have to be going hard and
yeah.
putting in everything, and you just gotta start to realize that not only is it knocking doors, but it's also recruiting and all that
Recruiting.
stuff. And
Yeah.
as far as building a team, there's a lot of different models out there. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people. There's a lot of teams out there, and they'll have a bunch of setters. They got like 40 setters or something crazy like that,
Yeah.
and they might have 5 closers, and they got all this energy in the office,
Hmm.
but they're not putting a lot of deals. I think one of the biggest sales teams out here in Southern California is that company that I started out working for,
Yeah.
and they have more of a model where they have W-2 reps, so they make it a
Hmm.
little. They help you out as you build your pipeline and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so people are able to stay around. But also, like, they're very efficient. Like, I would say they probably have 10 canvassers, 10 phone reps, 10 closers, and they're
They have
able to
like
push out.
one for one for each sector of like the moving pieces of like marketing and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, and they're able to
Nice.
push out like 200 deals a month or so.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the other companies with 40 setters and 5 closers, and they're hardly doing a quarter of that
Hmm.
many deals. So that's the blueprint that I'm trying to duplicate, where I have 10 canvassers, 10 phone guys, 10
Hmm.
closers, and we're just crushing and putting up like 200 deals a month.
Yeah. And are you looking for like someone with experience, or is it better? Would you say it's kind of like better to look for someone that has no experience but just like is hungry?
Yeah, I'm looking for anybody. I know, um, you know, I, it could go either way. I think people that are hungry are important, definitely,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to commission only. I think
Hmm.
having a little bit of experience definitely helps out. When
Hmm.
I started in solar, I was brand new to sales,
Hmm.
and I was able to make it work. But the guys that had some sales experience and maybe were brand new to solar
Hmm.
were doing a lot better than I was, in the beginning. So, I'm looking for anybody who's hungry, whether you have experience or not. I'm happy to coach people and train people. Whether and also learn from others too. I'm always looking
Yeah.
for, maybe if I bring someone on with experience, what can I learn from you?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm looking for everybody. I don't think that having experience or not having experience, the
Hmm.
hunger is the most important part. Yeah.
And what would you say is like a way that you've kind of like learned to get like better? Are you familiar with like Andy Elliott and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm familiar with
Uh,
Andy Elliott. I watch all those guys. I'm always looking at people in the industry and listening to their pitches,
mhm.
seeing what's going on, and really like the pitch that I've developed is just like a mix of a lot of different people's pitch,
Yeah.
and I take what I like from it.
Hmm.
One of my mentors, Edmund, who owns Kumquat, he always says, lie, cheat, and steal your way to the top. Lie awake at night, obsessing over your goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Cheat time away from anything that isn't serving your goals and purpose, and steal every good idea and implement it. So
Yeah.
like when I hear someone with a great pitch, I'm gonna take what I can from it, what I like from it,
Hmm.
and implement it. Some of the pitch that I'm using currently, I happen to learn from like another guy who's in Kumquat
Hmm.
who's been knocking doors for 14 years or something like that.
Hmm.
He's really great, and also use little nuggets that I hear from other people, like that are on the internet. You know, Andy Elliott being one of them. One day I
Yeah.
use like sometimes I think some of his stuff, like I don't know about it sometimes, but hey, one day I used one of his lines, and you know it
Yeah.
got me a good reaction at the door. And it wasn't, I didn't use his pitch, but I was able to throw implement something that he says a lot, and just like kind of in my pitch, and it ended up
Mhm.
working out very well for me. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I watch a lot of his stuff. I'm actually in one of his mastermind groups. It's like a free
nice,
mastermind group that he has. I think it's like every every Tuesday or every Sunday, or it's once a week. Sometimes it's every like 2 weeks or something. But um,
nice,
and he has like a whole like virtual team. Like if you want to like do selling like his products and stuff like that, he like helps you one on one for free, and it's pretty cool. It's a really dope mastermind that he has, and then he just like does like a short little like Q&A with every single person in that group. It's pretty nice.
nice. That's
But
cool. Yeah,
I watch a lot of his stuff in the mornings. It gets me fired up too. He's pretty funny and like aggressive, like someone that you know that we needed a long time for like sales and stuff. There's obviously Grant Cardone. You know, Grant Cardone was big in the car sales stuff, but I feel like Andy is one of the first like sales mentors that's very like aggressive, and like he knows how to catch people's attention, like wake people up, pretty
yeah.
fast.
Andy Elliott's awesome. I'm definitely a big fan of Andy, and
Yeah,
um, wanted to go. Been wanting to go to one of his events. I think that would be really cool.
in
You know,
Phoenix.
yeah, my friend, one of my friends in Kumquat went to one of his events, and he really
Oh,
wanted me to
nice.
come along. I didn't get the chance to go, but I think that'd be a really cool experience to go to one of his events. I know a couple of the guys that I've met on some of the blitzes go to Andy Elliott events, and I think that'd be really cool to go to.
Hmm. So how are you able to like handle objections and like rejections? Like I know that you said that you try to like shove it off, keep knocking doors. But in the beginning, when you first started, how was that? Were you kind of like when you the first week, say,
Yeah,
how were you able to like kind of keep going when it was probably really nerve wracking? I assume in the beginning, you know.
yeah. Well, at first, I just like had this. There was I was kind of naive about how it was gonna be. I thought this is gonna be easy. You know, these
Yeah.
guys that are knocking doors at this company, they're getting 2, 3 leads a day. I should be able to do that for myself, and I'll be sitting the same volume of appointments, and I'm gonna make $1 million this year. It's gonna be crazy, you know. But so I think like the first week I had some beginner's luck, and I was just hyped up. The first week I was knocking, the first day I went out knocking doors, I got a lead that was on a Friday or Saturday night, and
Yeah.
I ended up closing him on that Wednesday. So I was like,
Mhm.
this is gonna be easy, you know. And I think like the second week is when the no's started to get to me, and I was like, whoa, this isn't so easy as I thought, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and the no's definitely started to get to me. Um, at that point, I wasn't like I had left that previous company. I was just knocking like full time
Mhm.
for like 3 weeks, but then they had offered me a substantial bonus to come back, and I was kind of getting over the nose at that point. So that's when
Yeah.
then I did go back, and then that's when I was knocking doors on the side on the
Mhm.
weekends, and that made it a little easier because I was like, I wasn't so reliant on it. I wasn't like panicking, like if I don't get a deal, I'm not going to be able to eat, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a
Wh-
little easier. And then as I've just learned and grown,
mhm.
one thing you got to realize is the reason why you are able to get paid so much money as a door to door salesman is because there's so many no's, and not everybody could handle those rejections. So
Yeah.
that's why I say, like, I equivalate everything to the no's. I'm like, my car payment's 1,000 no's a month. You know, my rent's 1,000 no's a month. I got to get
Mm.
like at least 500 no's to feed myself, you know. You
Yeah.
know, if I want to take a girl out or something, I'm gonna need another 500 no's right there, you know. So it's like just
So
and I don't know who said it, but I know like there's this one guy in the industry, and I just remember hearing it at one point. He would say, "Go for one more no," you know,
yeah.
and that kind of drives me too. And you know, you'll start to see like when you're just been getting no's all day, like all of a sudden you're gonna come into that yes, you know.
Hmm. That's true. So what is your guys's like what is your specifically your CRM and like your follow up process?
Yeah, so follow up process, CRM. What we got like I got a project manager with
Mm.
Kumquat that helps me take the job to install. So that's great for me,
Okay.
which is really awesome. As far as like following up with leads and stuff,
Yeah.
um, you know, I'm not like the biggest computer guy. Like I hate hopping on the computer and like looking at that stuff. I'm kind of
Yeah.
unorganized, so a lot of times I'm just going to like the next you know, to fresh doors and like trying to find something new. But some
Mm.
days I'll just sit back and I'll crank away on like 300 phone calls because I end up with a big list of people
Mm.
that you know I was able to at least get their information, or maybe
Yeah.
I had set an appointment with them and they didn't show or they didn't buy the first time. So I've ended up with a big list of phone
Mm.
numbers, and some days, and especially maybe if it's a rainy day or something like that, I'll just
Yeah.
crank away on phone calls. And or maybe like when I was on my way to we did a blitz in Phoenix in January, and I have a bunch of leads in Arizona. So I was like, I'm gonna go because I used to go out to Arizona on the weekends to knock
Mm.
doors. So I'm like, I'm gonna follow up with those leads, and that way I got some appointments booked already right when I get to town. You know, so
Yeah.
some days I'm like not feeling the doors. I'll just crank away on some calls. You know,
Hmm.
see what I could pick up.
And so what is like your what is the regulations like? Have you had like cops called on you or anything like that? Anything crazy?
So it's funny, like I never had business cards, like and I had gotten business cards, and the
Yeah.
first guy I gave my card to, he called the cops on us. And like,
No way.
yeah, and I
Wow.
never really had the cops like roll up on me while I'm in the neighborhood or anything.
Yeah.
But this guy, he was just like, he was in it. I just came up to him, and he's sitting there, and he's talking with his buddy right there. I'm like, hey
Mm-hmm.
guys, you know, sorry to bug you. We're just in the neighborhood. There was like a bunch of us that day,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they just didn't like us. But I was like trying to pitch them, and they're like, yeah, no, we're in the middle of a conversation right here. They're just not trying to give me the time of day, and like I'll match people's energy. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I was just kind of being a dick back, and um he's all like, and not even, I was like, I forget, I don't know if I was just trying to get my pitch out. And he's all like, you know what, give me your card, I'm calling your boss. And I was like, and I had just gotten cards that day, like I went and picked them up, and I was like, got my fresh cards. I was like, all right, no problem, here's my card.
And did
Like,
he call you because it had like your number on it?
so the police department reached out to me that night, and I'm getting this
Oh shit.
call, and I missed the call. And then I call it back, and it's like Scottsdale Police Department. And I was
Oh
like, oh, what the heck? And then all of a sudden I got a text message, and it was like, hey, this is Officer so and so with the Scottsdale Police Department. We have a report that your team of salesmen was knocking it in Scottsdale today without permits, blah blah blah.
shit.
And I was just like, hey, yeah, sorry, I'll give you a call back. And I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna call. And then he texted me. He's like, hey, I just gotta let you know that you know, if you guys are knocking doors without permits, you're gonna be subject to fine and stuff. You know, I don't think
Oh,
the cops really cared that much. I think they just
yeah.
had to tell me. You know.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I had some. I didn't have a particularly incident like that, but one of my coworkers at the time that I was doing door to door, he had, uh, he got the cops called on him, and they arrested him, and they had him like sit. they detained him for like, not detained him, but they had him in handcuffs for probably 30 minutes or so and got down like a little report, making sure like he wasn't like doing anything crazy. But I have heard that. No, actually, as well to me, um, they've asked, "Do you have a permit?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And they're like, "Well, I need to speak to your supervisor. This is and that." I just called my supervisor and we went to like a different location because we would all travel together, like we would all commute together. Do you
Yeah.
guys do something similar or?
Yeah, like if we're on blitz,
Yeah,
we'll all kind of go together in a big group. Everybody piles in the car and goes out on turf. So
yeah,
um, yeah, if something like that, we probably just switch up the neighborhood.
yeah,
Definitely like we've had a couple times where like ladies are like, we're gonna call the cops, and then we kind of see and then maybe the cops circle the neighborhood like later on, but we're able to like kind of avoid them.
yeah,
But nothing too crazy where I got detained. Luckily, like that would be insane. I would be
yeah,
so annoyed. Like, I'm the type of guy who's like, I know my rights and all this stuff. So,
yeah,
so like that probably wouldn't be a good scenario.
yeah. And what advice would you give to someone that's interested, in starting like doing solar? What's something that you would say to someone that's like fresh, doesn't know anything about it? How would you be able to like prepare their mind to get into this field?
Yeah. So I would say, um, be prepared for the no's. That's why we get paid so much as salespeople.
Mm,
Don't give up. And then also what I would say is find a good pitch that works, memorize it, and say that every door, every house that you're in. Just say that over and over. That's how I was able to when I first got into solar, I was struggling. I was in home closing and I was struggling, and I went over, with my mentor at the time. He showed me his pitch. I had recorded the audio and I wrote it down word for word, and I just sat there and I read it and I memorized it. And I just said that in every house. So whether you're on the doors or you're in house, I would say find a good pitch that works and memorize it.
mm,
And it doesn't have to be the best pitch. I think that's how you get consistent results, is by being consistent with your pitch. If you're switching it up every time,
yeah.
you're gonna get inconsistent results.
Mm,
So I would say find a good pitch that works, write it down, memorize it word for word, and say that every time. Be as consistent as you can in your pitch,
mm,
and you're gonna get consistent results. A lot of guys think that they need to change up their pitch per the customer, per the homeowner, but really they're making assumptions in their own mind about the customer, about the homeowner. So I would
yeah.
say just keep it stupid simple. And that's another thing too. Keep it stupid simple, because a lot of times people will elaborate and spit out all this information, throw up on the customer, and at the end they'll be like, well, that sounds like a lot to think about.
Yeah.
So keep it simple, memorize a good pitch, and use that every door, every house, and that's how you're going to get consistent results.
Nice, nice. Well, I appreciate it. We're gonna wrap up right now. I appreciate you coming on the live, so that way I can have this for my viewers and stuff. And I know it was kind of hard going back and forth on certain days. I apologize about that too.
Oh,
Um,
no worries. I know we're both busy, and I apologize I wasn't able to make myself more available sooner, and I just am super grateful that for you having me on the podcast. And I appreciate it, and I
yeah,
think
for sure.
it's going to be great. And I had a really good time coming on the podcast and talking with you.
Yeah, and it was crazy too how I literally I think it was a few weeks ago I just started looking through your page because I got like requested, or how it like suggests like a video on
Yeah,
the news feed or somewhere, and I just started looking at your videos, and I saw like your live, and literally a couple days later I think you knocked on my door, you knocked on like my neighbor's door or something, and then I kind of heard you like talking because I was in the backyard with my dog, and I was like, oh, is that Doug? I'm not sure. Like it would kind of be weird if I like said something I don't even know him. And then that's
yeah.
when I messaged you on the live. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. That was super cool. I was like,
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that. I was like, what the heck?
yeah,
This I cover a lot of ground, so I'm not surprised. But
yeah,
that was pretty cool. And I know I had seen you in the live over the few days before that.
yeah,
Isaac Indigo, welcome to the live. Thanks for tuning in. And then all of a
yeah,
sudden you're like, yo, you just knocked my door. I was like, what? No way. That's crazy.
yeah.
So,
But yeah, man. And how can people find you if you want to
so
plug your Instagram and stuff?
yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at that dude Dougie, THATDOU, THATDUDEDOUGIE, and also on TikTok. I haven't been posting as much on TikTok just because the Instagram's been blowing up, and I've always been an Instagram guy. Um, Facebook, I don't really go on, so you can find me on Instagram at that dude Dougie, and let's connect.
Okay. All right, man. Well, it was. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed our conversation and knowing more about the door to door, solar. I would. I I am. I have my podcast to be able to connect with anyone that has to do with like sales and entrepreneurship, and I think it's really cool what you're doing, and I really I look forward to seeing you move up in the ranks, in the future. So
Awesome. Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate that. And likewise, I'm excited to see you grow with the podcast and the real estate and everything that you're doing as well.
thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. So
Hmm.
you have a good night, and that we're gonna be closing the Isaac Indigo podcast. See you
All
guys.
right.
Uh, see you guys next week for the next episode. Peace.